Hello, in today's video I'm going to be comparing the Miracle Tube tree tube to a mesh style tree protector you can get from Forestry Supply. I will link the location of both of these tubes in the description. They're far beefier. They come nested in a bundle of 5, but they're about triple the price. But in my opinion, they're worth it. They have adjustable straps. They can be reused. They serve a purpose as well. I use 2 of them nested together to make a 5-foot tube. I found that that's enough to protect from deer browse, at least in our location. So thank you for watching today's episode. I hope you find it informative, enjoyative, and as always, thank you for making it a great day to be outdoors. All right, today I'm going to talk about different tree protector options. If you look at any of my videos, you're going to notice that in the landscape there are going to be tree tubes or tree cages. So on the left here, mesh tree protectors that are purchased from Forestry Supply. When I add this to the video later, I'll get the exact name and I'll get the exact price. And then over here on the right, Miracle tubes, which I purchased right from the gentleman that sells them. He's out of Missouri and he's been phenomenal to work with over the years. To not go any further into the video, I'll say that overall the Miracle tubes are better. They are more expensive. Obviously there's more to them, but they're easier to install. They last longer. This one right here is a reuse. Either the tree died or the tree got big enough, and so I pulled it from the field, and then now it's ready to be used again. Starting over here with the mesh tree protectors, they come nested in a group of 10, so the sizes, diameters do vary a little bit. And what I do is I'm very careful to pull out 2 at a time. That's what you can kind of see up here at the very top. And then I pull them out. They're 3 feet each, and I overlap them in the middle, and then I zip tie where they overlap together. That's a very cheap, too small of a zip tie, but it's what I had at the time. So I make a tree protector that's just over 5 feet, and then I apply stakes to the outside. These are the 5-foot option. I think he's got different sizes. 5 foot's enough to protect from deer browse. Overall, they come nested in a group of 5, and so the diameters do vary a little. I play a game to try and save the big ones, just in case you get a tree with extra branches. And then they come with some very sturdy, beefy straps or zip ties that hold up very, very well and are reusable. They have a little clip on them so you can loosen them up. This is a 1.5 inch piece of PVC pipe that was a 10-footer cut in half. This is pre-COVID prices, so I have no idea now, but it was about 62 cents for this stake. Now I am going to try to use driveway markers off of Amazon. I think they're going to be cheaper, but we'll see how they hold up because they're fiberglass. At the bottom, no matter what tree tube I use, I do apply 3-inch landscape staples. I've just found that that gives it more support and rigidity on the bottom. And so on these mesh ones, they would just go right through the bottom layers of mesh. The pros and cons. Pros for these Miracle tubes, they're easier to put a tree in, especially if it has branches on the bare root or the sapling. They're self-pruning, and they actually hold up to the wind better, and they're supposed to biodegrade. So as the tree reaches that diameter, the mesh should just break apart, and they are reusable. I've taken and reused them several times in the meantime, but they're supposed to break down in sunlight. The problem with these, again, I think I might have said it, but any branches at all, and then you have a struggle on your hands. And obviously they're not as sturdy vertically, but there are some hacks for that with how you use different stakes. You'll see in just a sec I use bamboo, PVC, and then anybody knows me knows I'm super frugal, but I'll also use anything else I can find that's straight and of the right length. So a broomstick, a shower curtain, piece of threaded rod, I've used it all. If it's straight and can serve as a stake, I use it because it's all cost, and you know, the more that you eliminate your cost, the cheaper it is per tree. But I'd say a rule of thumb is at least 2 stakes per tree if you want to do a good job and want the tree to stay upright. And even then you're going to run into some issues. But I would say that the mesh ones are about half the price of the Miracle Tubes, but Miracle Tubes obviously will last longer, and in the end, just a better way to go. And probably going to get away from the mesh ones, even I'll show videos on how I use them because I still have a bunch of them. Just wanted to give you another view of the 2 products I'm going to be reviewing today. So this is a nested bundle of the woven tree cages. Just to give you an idea, there's 10 of them in here, and you can see how they come nested and then neck their way down. And like I already mentioned, I take 2 of them, overlap them, and make my tree protector that way. And then here are the Miracle Tubes. They come nested in a group of 5. This is PVC, I believe. You can see the adjustable straps on there. There's a little tab right here that you can adjust to undo the strap. You can see some of the holes for ventilation, and then they're solid on the bottom for spraying. So they're definitely more money, but in the end, less work. And I've reused them many, many times, and this is the direction I'm going to go for the future. But like I said, I'm frugal, and these do have an application as well, and I have a bunch of these and I'll still put them to use. It's just they seem to not hold up as well. In fact, I wasn't even planning this, but in the background these are all the Miracle Tubes, and if these were the mesh tubes, they'd probably half of them would be blown over. And by the way, these are all box elder that I'm trying to get to grow by the road. All right, so here are some Miracle Tubes in application. I'm actually trying to create my own funnel right here. This is looking to the south from the corner of a neighboring property where it's big woods and big deer and not a lot of pressure. And right now I have the food. I'm going to pan over to the Miracle Tube in front of me and kind of show you on the exterior. I have that PVC pipe zip tied in place, and this one's pretty sturdy. I have some rocks around the bottom because it's very rocky soil, very hard soil. It's just a sandy kind of riverbank, and you know, I just use that as a cheat, and I guarantee there are landscape staples down there. Now, one issue with the Miracle Tubes is that they will get clogged up with leaves and stuff. So this is a box elder that's growing, and it may get full of leaves, and you may have to take it off and then reapply, or just take it off and be done if it gets to that height. But another thing that does sometimes happen, and I'm not going to go searching for one, is you'll get wasp nests inside of these, and they do make various like hairnet things that you can put over them that are very cheap, and would eliminate that from happening, or at least bring that down. They could still get into the holes, and I don't buy them. I just try to keep an eye on them, because one of the things I do in the spring is I pull them for the ones that I check the trees to see if they're alive or not, so I can reuse them. So there's a Miracle Tube in action, and kind of tied towards another video I'm going to do on creating your own funnels for deer movement, because you know, this is right by the buildings, and it's a pretty dynamite spot. Actually, there's an old pole shed that will eventually be gone. Got a little audience for this clip tonight, so I'm just out here at the hex, pardon me as I zoom back out, and I just want to talk about the best way to assemble the Miracle Tubes, or to install Miracle Tubes. Now, this is a box elder I transplanted, and the PVC pipe on the outside using the adjustable straps. But then if you really want to do this right, you would put another stake on the inside just for added stability. So double staking these things just gives you even more protection. So a stake on the outside and then a stake on the inside is definitely the way to go. It just gives more protection for the tree tube overall and helps them stay up. So here's a bur oak that obviously was already growing. You can tell it's bur oak because of the leaves in there. And again, we have our stake on the inside, our PVC pipe on the outside, and then If you look down here on the bottom, you can see those landscape staples that I use, and 2 or 3 in this one. They're 6-inch staples, and then it might seem like overkill, but overall it's just a better way to go to keep your work in place so that you can make sure your tree tube stays upright. And then just pan down another one of those Miracle tubes, and then a woven wire cage over probably another either bur oak or some type of tree I had. All right, so here's a landscape of the mesh tree protectors, and you can see the majority of them survived and stood upright. And then as I pan, you'll see one folded over kind of in the middle of the screen right now, and then there's actually a tree stake right there with no protector at all. And then over here we have an area of colossal failure. So another thing I basically lived and learned about is that I try to save some money at the expense of time, and it's just overall not worth it. By the way, I guess if you're paying close attention, it is still rifle season here in Wisconsin, and so I got old Betty Lou sitting on the left of the screen. Bought her with Shields cards. It's took some time. Anyway, so this is a pan of, this is part of an NRCS program. This is a hillside that we were supposed to plant bur oak, white oak, red oak, and then white pine. And I caged the white pine in woven wire cages that I just repurposed woven wire. It just works better. So here's one that is working, and it's probably one of the best examples. That's why I stayed here. Took 2 bamboo stakes, and then if you put a bamboo stake through the top, that's another hack that you just need to do, and it'll hold that up and keep it from folding over. And then a second bamboo stake. This is a shorter bamboo stake, at least 2, and they'll work. Now, got to get them in the ground pretty well, and then you also have to weave them through the tree. And I can't even see the little sapling or bare rootstock in this one, and it's probably fine. The grass is probably actually helping it out. And then I'll have a video on how I make my own tree protectors. I just take big rolls of fabric, cut them in 3x3 sections, and then cut a little triangle out of the middle. So this is kind of the final application for doing a mass number of trees. Now the NRCS program does reimburse you for costs, and this next year, like I mentioned, I'm going to buy Miracle tubes and just go that route to save all my helpers and myself some hassle. I'm gonna go over here and show you, a failure, and show you the little oak sapling or bare rootstock. And then now I'm gonna have to obviously fix this one, but fix it in the spring because there's frost in the ground. So there's the tree right in the middle. It's pretty hard to see. And then the landscaping staples I use on the bottom of these. And one more view of all our hard work from this past spring. Now the next year we're doing the same thing, but we're doing it in the creek bottoms, and that's going to be kind of neat too. So here's a mesh cage that I did the right way, and you have to have your piece of bamboo that is strung through the top. And in reality, it's probably better to just have the second piece of bamboo, this smaller piece here, woven through, and then probably just have a second big piece if you want to use these, because otherwise you run the risk of them failing and falling over. And I've mentioned this before, but I'm gonna transition into just the Miracle tubes for the future, because this is a fair amount of work to go and redo. Not the end of the world, especially for the fact that these do have some benefit with the self-pruning. So you can see down in here the bare root tree, pardon me for that as I find it, and it's doing just fine, and it's gonna work its way up and through, but it's a pain in the butt to try and get any sapling with branches planted using one of these. And again, the tree mat has stakes on all 4 corners, and then probably 2 stakes in the middle holding the mesh tube down too, and they are 6-inch stakes. All right, so here's the process. We got our assembled cage. We have 2 pieces of bamboo, the taller, thicker piece on one side. There's 2 cages that are zip tied together, and then the shorter, thinner piece on the other side. Works best to put that thinner piece in through the bottom. I found that out later on after pre-assembling all these cages. I did a video earlier, and I'll probably link that to this video on how to make the mats, and I absolutely recommend that you fold them in 4s. What we did is, me and my son, we went around to each cage that was marked with a pink flag, dropped one of the tree mats, and then 6 landscape staples. And now all you got to do is unfold the mat. There's a hole cut in the middle. I already did that in the previous video. Put it over the tree. Now I like to go kitty corner. So start down here, push the staple in, go up here, push it in, make it tight. Right here at this corner, make it tight again. Try to center the hole as best you can. You got your 4 corners all done, and might come back with rocks later and weight it down a little bit more. And then now you do the thick, taller piece first, and then get it centered over the tree. And then push it down in there nice and good, and nice and a little rocky in this spot, but it'll work. Okay, so then you got both the bamboo shoots in. You take the last 2 staples, go on the other angle, and you're all done. So here's my setup for cutting my own tree protectors. I made this very rudimentary jig. You know, this bottom board is 3 feet long, and the top board doesn't really matter. It's another piece of scrap. The reason why is that for my program I need to cut 3x3 squares, but I am cheating this a couple inches just because 3-foot squares is pretty big, and I think that by the time you need that much protection, the tree is going to be doing just fine. What you'll see me do in a minute is I run the scissors along this, try to just use the scissors as like a cutter, like with wrapping paper, but then I keep my jig even on a line so that I know this is at 90 degrees. Otherwise, by the end of the roll, you can be way off and have some really jagged and janky pieces. High quality weed barrier. This is DeWitt Sunbelt, 3 foot by 300 feet. I end up getting about 120 weed mats this way. And then over here, I just took a tote with some weight on it to keep the roll from getting out of whack. I didn't put anything through the middle or anything. This way I can just roll and cut and roll and cut. So next I'll show you the process. All right. What you do is you pull out your roll, you lay down your jig, line up your lines, and like I said, I'm making this a little short of 3 feet, so that's why the jig's over. Hold the fabric tight, pull it across. At the end, you might have to do a little bit of cutting, not too bad. And then, I do this later, but fold them diagonally, line up the middle, cut a triangle for what's going to be the hole for the tree, and then you end up with your tree protector. Then what I do is I fold them in half a couple times, and then you can get about 150 in a box so that they're just ready to use. Okay. Thank you for watching today's episode on how to cage your trees using either mesh tree protectors or the Miracle Tubes. If you use any other tree protectors, I'd love to hear what you use, and you can share that with our community and help each other and grow. So as always, if you have any questions, suggestions, comments, we'd all love to hear them, so you could drop those below. Thank you for watching today's episode and making it a great day to be outdoors.